Good evening and welcome to This Week in Joe's Basement. As you can see, I'm not Joe. I'm Michelle. And the whole purpose of being on this show this evening instead of Joe is because, well, this week we're doing about fan mail. And, well, it's been a long time. Well, as a matter of fact, this is the first time since we've had fan mail. And I received a letter from a guy, Alex.
Oh, man.
We also received an anonymous letter as well, which I can perhaps tell you a little bit about later on in the show. But let's go back to this other letter right here I have in my hand. And this is from, yes, well, this is from Alex, you know. And, Alex? Let's have a look, see what we've got in here, shall we? My, what a surprise. Yes. Oh, great, wonderful. Well, Alex, me old fruit. I don't know how to put this to you, but I'm a married lady. I'm a married lady, you see. And I have a wonderful husband and a wonderful daughter. Her name's Grace, and I'm really proud of her. But, well, I don't think I'll be needing a picture of you anyway, so I'm ever so sorry.
Why did I promise to eat dog food? I could do without viewer mail for just a little longer. I didn't need it that badly. Maybe nobody saw episode 13, you know? Maybe I could just cheese out and not actually eat this or replace this with something.
Well, anyway, this other lady wrote us a letter, or man, or was an anonymous person, and she wanted to know how on earth I got from England to America with no money. Well, it's pretty simple, really. No, actually. As if you watched the last show, you know, I was on, then you could probably tell that, you know, I didn't have any money. But anyway. Sorry. I just had this funny joke go through my head. Well, anyway. Anyway, back to the thing. I came here from, I met a guy in England. He was there in 1985, and he was visiting friends and everything. And then he went back there in 1987. And he ran out of money, so he got himself a job in England, and that's where we met. His name's Tim, and obviously Tim Hoyer, you know, being my husband and all. And well, I didn't want to come to America at first, you know, because, you know, my family and everything behind. And Grace, please behave yourself. We're on TV. Thank you. Anyway, excuse me for that interruption there. Back to the show. Yes, well, here I am in America. I married a wonderful guy. Anyway, we were saying, okay, we wrote letters backwards and forwards, and then I said, well, what the heck, I might as well go. I mean, what have I got to lose? So I had a little bit of cash saved up and jumped on an airplane, and I just fell in love. It was love at first sight. It was love at first sight. it was. And anyway, and so then I fell pregnant with my daughter Grace, and then we thought, well, let's go and have a baby for free instead of paying all this money out and everything. So we decided to go back to England and have a baby, and it was free. And then we came back after she was born, and here I am at Joe's basement.
Why don't I get Michelle to do the opening? It's her mail, after all. I mean, it's her fan mail. She's eaten dog food before. She won't mind. What do you think? Maybe that's a good idea. I should have her do the opening anyway. She'd look good in red, and then she can respond to the Alex guy. That'll be pretty funny.
Anyway, we're going to go over to Joe now. He's going to eat some dog food.
Good evening, and welcome to This Week in Joe's Basement. Hello. I'm Joe, and this is my basement. And, would you zoom in on this, please? So this week in Joe's basement, we're going to respond to viewer mail. Yes, we actually got some viewer mail, and Joe has a promise that he made in episode 13, and he's going to keep it right now. Oh my God. Take a look at this. Oh my God. Okay, so you see, I was so desperate in episode 13 for some viewer mail that I promised to eat dog food if I got some. Ugh. Now, like I love kind of unspecified. That's how much I should eat. But, I mean, I definitely want to be manly about it. So, anyway, what we're going to do this week is respond to our viewer mail that we've gotten so far. So, okay. So, first off, as I think Michelle responded, we got this letter from this guy, Alex, whose name we won't show on TV. And he sent us 2 copies, actually. One which Michelle read, and the other one says, "Please don't read this letter over the air." Well, sorry, Alex, but I mean, you really shouldn't lust after TV stars. It's not good for you. Not good for you at all. But, I mean, we didn't give away your last name or anything like that. And, I mean, got to be fair to Michelle here. So, anyway, that was pretty interesting, that Michelle actually came across in such a way on TV that she would inspire the desire of somebody out in the audience to really meet her. And that was pretty cool. She thought it was pretty hilarious, and I called her up and told her on the phone about that. So, we got another letter here, which Michelle alluded to. Just a somewhat lengthier tome from someone who left herself, I believe it's a her, I think this looks like female handwriting to me, unidentified, and she had a couple things to say. Well, she was curious about Michelle, for one thing, what's happened to her for the rest of her life. And, well, the story that Michelle told in episode number 12, Feet, were events that happened to her when she was a teenager, when she was a punk, and she had her hair shaven and stuff like that. And now she's 21, and she's married, and she has a kid, a year-old kid, and she's living in Chicago, and she's a completely respectable housewife, which is sort of the hilarious edge of it. She's not a punker anymore. I don't think she does too many drugs. I haven't really probed into those aspects of her personal life, but she's basically straightened out, and that's great. So, in keeping with that, she's, I'm afraid, not willing to go in for the whims of her fans. Anyway, so this anonymous letter had a few other things of some substance to say, so I'd like to respond to them. She liked the Sledgehammer Diplomacy, episode 9, where we asked white people and black people what they thought of each other. And, well, that's pretty, that was fun to do that. We did the, it's part of our People as They Actually Are series, and we will rerun it at some point for those of you who missed all or some of it, because we're going to rerun, we're going to go into reruns at some point. And some specific comments to say about that, and she quibbled about my cam work, but I'm not going to pay any attention to that. And we answered her question about Michelle. Okay, well, our anonymous letter writer ended her letter by saying that because I've referred to viewers or potential viewers of this show as sickos, that she didn't want to be identified. Well, I mean, I'm looking at the handwriting here, and it's, it stays on the lines. It seems pretty stable. She doesn't seem like a sicko to me at all. I think it seems like a pretty sensible, normal person. So we love you here at Joe's Basement. We're not that bad. But you really should have signed your name, because you may not be a sicko, but you're certainly a coward. Anyway, so if any of you guys have any feedback or desire to berate me on the basis of what we've done so far in this show, you now have the opportunity to do that because we're doing a special feature which you've seen on your screen since the beginning of the episode, which is viewer call-in. See, what we've done is, well, we've located, we tracked down a couple of payphones, and we put their numbers on the screen. They're payphones, okay, so don't try calling these on a regular basis because you won't get anybody. But while the show is on the air, both weeks, I'm going to be manning the phones, and some of you may have already called in. And go at it, guys. It's easier than writing a letter. Nobody writes letters anymore. Maybe people still use the telephone. And check it out. And we'll be videotaping, like me at the payphone, answering the phones too. If we get anything good out of it, we'll put that on the air too. So wail away. See, my persona now is I can be totally free and easy about this because I don't have to put up with what I'm gonna have to put up with later when you guys call in. Okay. So in the spirit of the call-in show, we have a little exercise for you guys this week, which is yet another excursion into the realm of absolute truth and people as they actually are. Okay, one of our Crack Joe's Basement storytelling team underwent a very traumatic car accident. He and 3 others have decided to tell us about it. And we've somehow concatenated that into one story, probably. And so one of the 4 people that you're going to see telling us about, well, I'm one of them, telling you guys about this car accident. One of those people actually had this car accident happen to him. And the other 3 are lying. And so your fun little task, and we can't offer any prizes. We've been through that before. It's just you just have the satisfaction of being right. But a little game for you, which is to see if you can figure out who is telling the truth, who actually underwent this experience. Is fiction more like reality than reality? I think so. And I think we'll have something silly like we'll have a mole talk to you for a while to, after we've run all the versions of the story so that you have some time to think about this and then call in. All right. So that's the show. Get on with it. Did I forget anything, Paul? Dan? Okay. Response to viewer mail and this week Joe's call-in show and absolute truth this week in Joe's basement.
In January, I was hit by a car when I was going for a bus. I was late for a math test, so I ran for the bus, and I heard this screech and the horn, and well, it's not too clear in my mind, actually. I don't really know what happened, but, I can guess. You see, the car hit me right here. On the bumper hit here. And I sort of came off, I bounced off the car, and I hit the pavement on my shoulder. How that happened, maybe I was flipping in the air like some kung fu guy, I don't know. But so I hit my shoulder, and the next thing I know, I'm lying on the pavement on my front, and my arms tucked under, and didn't really hurt. It didn't hurt, I mean, I got hit here, and I was scraped all over from the pavement, and I think, the pavement did something to the arm. Well, I didn't know at the time, but it was dislocated.
There was the sensation of the impact, not pain, just being hit on my left leg, and then suddenly finding myself lying on the ground, face down, belly down. I had the reaction of trying to move. I tried to get up. I suppose anybody would under those circumstances. I found that all I could really move was my head. I could shift to the left and shift to the right like this and see a little bit over me. But that was it. That's all the movement I had. My leg, there was something wrong with my leg. I knew that. It was behind me somewhere where it ought not to have been. And I could actually tell that my left shoulder was down and out of place. And again, there was no pain at the time. It was peculiar. You would expect that there would be a lot of pain there, but I guess that's the body's reaction to that sort of circumstance.
But I didn't really feel pain in
in the normal way. It's kind of strange. I can't really explain it, but I felt this kind of tranquil feeling, like I was going to die. It was really, really weird. I never felt that. I've gone through my whole entire life, and I never had any serious accidents before or anything like that. And there I was, just lying in the middle of the street. And at some point, this guy, he comes up to me and he tries to comfort me. And I don't know who his name was or something like that. But he's like the first person to notice, because I mean, there was this bus, okay, that passed by just after I got hit. This whole bus load of people, and just their indifferent faces staring, and like nobody cared. It was like so strange. It's like, here I am, I'm splattered out in the middle of the street. I mean, doesn't anybody care? I don't get it, right? And there's one guy who was I mean, he was saying, oh, it's going to be all right, it's going to be okay, it's going to be all right, it's going to be okay. But he didn't seem really important. I was just sort of drifting off there, and I was trying to kind of meditate or something, because I figured, this might be it. Maybe I'm going to die now, and I don't know. I better prepare myself or something. I mean, I wasn't quite sure what I was gonna feel, but sort of trying to experience every moment like it was going to be my last, as they say, and then until the paramedics came.
Passerbys stopped, looked. I was able to move my head. I saw in the bus that people were staring out at me. They looked cold to it. They didn't look like incredibly concerned. And then I waited maybe 10 minutes before the paramedics got to me, and they rolled me. I was on my stomach. My arm was like in front, of me. My shoulder was about here, maybe a little down. No, it was back. It was down and back. They rolled me over onto the stretcher, and that's when I started feeling the pain. Like everything opened up. My leg, my all in here seemed to be painful. My shoulder was very painful, and in the ambulance they propped my leg up on a they just propped it on something. I can't remember what it's called. And that hurt.
While I was lying there, the paramedics came up in the ambulance, and they were talking to me, making sure that I was able to understand them and respond to them. They asked me if I was ready to be moved, because they said that if they moved me, there's going to be a lot of pain involved. And I said that yes, I was. And sure enough, when they did move me, there was a hell of a lot of pain involved. It kicked in. All the protection that I had been laying on myself was gone, and there was just an incredible amount of pain. So they put me on the stretcher and put me up in the ambulance, and started driving me off to the hospital. The pain persisted from the moment they put me off the pavement and onto the stretcher for the rest of the time until I was given sedatives. Actually, as I was driving, I could feel every bump on the road. I could feel every little crack. I was singing to myself to try to alleviate the pain, the sensation of this incredible pain. I was singing to myself. Actually, I was kind of shouting the words to some songs I learned in camp. Something about green grow the rushes. Oh, I don't even remember right now what it was. But just yelling and yelling. And there was a clear sensation as I did it that it wasn't so much a reaction to the pain itself, but it was a preventive measure to keep me from feeling the pain, because if I could concentrate on what I was yelling, what I was trying to sing, then I couldn't feel the pain nearly as acutely.
They put me on the ambulance, and they took me to the hospital. I remember watching. You see, there's this glass window in the roof of the thing, and you can watch the street lights go by, right, in the trees and things. I remember watching that crap and screaming like hell. Screaming like hell. I mean, I wasn't screaming because it hurt. I mean, I was at first, but you only do that for a little while. Then I was just screaming to keep from thinking about the fact that it hurt. You see, you got to do something, I mean, I didn't know that until this happened. I mean, you don't know these things until they come up. But the reason you scream is so that you don't think about it, really. So I was just screaming, like, I want to be an airborne ranger. Okay, just really, really loud. And at first it surprised me, and then of course it made sense that of course the paramedic people, they're completely used to this. And this woman is just sitting there in front. The guy's driving, and the woman's going, I know. And of course I wanted to hit her. I know it hurts. I know. As she's cutting off my clothing, right? She cut my pants off. She cut my shirt off. And, well, I was wearing a down jacket at the time. I mean, it was January. She cut that off.
But I wouldn't let them cut my leather jacket. They want to take my leather jacket off, too, and I wouldn't let them do that. I made them take it off. So, anyway, so when I was in the ambulance, it was not as painful as being lifted into the stretcher. That was, I think, the worst part. Like lying in the ambulance there, I was just too busy. I kept screaming to distract myself, and it wasn't so bad. But then after that they brought me through these big double doors into the emergency room, and and I was still screaming, and then they had this curtain, drew this curtain around me, and they started asking me all these questions. Like I was hoping that I assumed that they were going to anesthetize me or something like that, like so I could not feel pain anymore, like on TV, there's like a put something into you, but they didn't ask me all these questions like whether I smoked or whether I drank or did all sorts of drugs or I had any dependencies on anything and stuff like that. And I guess that's because I found out later it's because they can't give you certain things, like if you have a dependency on certain drugs, they can't give you certain kind of painkillers and stuff like that.
And they got to the hospital, rolled me through the double doors to the emergency room. I was like, it was a sprint to the end of the emergency room, and then they threw open these green curtains, and then they propped me on. They just like sort of lifted me and put me on a board, this wooden board, and they didn't anesthetize me. They asked me a lot of questions, asked me whether I had gone unconscious or not, and I went into shock. It was like a shivering feeling. I could barely, hear things, but I did hear something like he's going into shock.
They're asking me all these stupid questions. Do you take drugs? Do you smoke? Do you drink? Are you a member of the Communist Party? I don't even remember these things. I mean, it's just really, really, really annoying, long series of questions. And they didn't give me any anesthetic. They didn't give me anything, really. They want to know where everything hurt, so they couldn't make anything stop hurting. And God, did it hurt. Anyway, well, then I started to go into shock. See, I'd seen this dog once, because it had been hit by a car with its guts hanging out, and it was shivering. You know how that works? And it's just shaking. And I didn't know what that was. I was really young when I saw that, so I had no idea what that was. And I didn't do the research to find out what it was. And then when I got hit, okay, I was in the hospital, I'm lying there on a slab, all these morons are asking me stupid questions. Then I finally figured out what it was, okay, because I felt really cold, okay, and I'm shivering, I'm shaking, really violently shaking. And one of the nurses says, oh, he's in shock, right? So now I know what the dog was doing. It was in shock, as it lay there dying with its guts hanging out.
They they started moving me onto a board where they were going to perform a CAT scan on me, and in the course of moving me, I became very lucid because I realized that one of my testicles, my clothes had been cut off on the way over in the ambulance. I realized during that time that one of my testicles was caught between a couple of metal bars on the stretcher, and at that point I became very lucid, and I was able to communicate very effectively with the attendants in the emergency room.
They lifted me in the CAT scan at some point. While they were lifting me in there, like this metal bar caught my testicles, and you remember, no, my pants are, I don't have my pants on anymore. Caught my testicles. I started screaming. I said, "Stop! No, stop!" And they didn't believe me. They were like, I guess patients scream all the time in the emergency room. The emergency rooms are full of people screaming and cursing. It's really bizarre. It's not civilized at all. You'd think it would be, but it's not. And so they just kept moving me in there until finally I said, "You're squeezing my testicles. You're squeezing my testicles. Please stop." And finally, that one of the attendants, he looked down and he saw what he'd done. And then I don't know exactly how I got twisted or something. But somehow I did. So my testicles got caught in there, and then he noticed that and he was like really embarrassed. And it's like, these people are definitely not perfect. Okay.
They slid me down into it, and somewhere in the process, my testicle got lodged on this piece of metal. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs that something was wrong, because I couldn't even identify it properly, because I couldn't really feel my body that well or feel where the pain was coming from. And the guy was like, "Well, it's going to be painful. It's going to be painful." I was screaming, "No, there's something wrong." And he saw, that my testicle was lodged against this piece of metal. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I went through the CAT scan and spent 3.5 weeks in the hospital on morphine.
It's very good. You see, we moles are very often, rarely. We moles are very rarely asked our opinions about anything, really, because we burrow under the ground, which is sort of taboo, sort of a job you have, and we eat worms, which is sort of disgusting to some people, I suppose. And they're really okay. They're not bad, really. I mean, it's better than eating dog food. Much better. Where was I? I mean, at least we don't eat ants. Like sort of a spiny anteater. Anyway, I'm gonna go now because I smell fish. And while I don't eat fish, it makes me hungry for worms. So if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go now, and I just wanted to, as I went, I just wanted to tell you that Aaron, the little one with long pants on that covered over the horrible, disgusting thing sticking out of his knees, he was the one who was hit by the car. Who did you think it was? So no point in phoning in any longer. Well, with regard to that, I mean, if you just want to come in and talk, call in, talk, ask, why they let me go on for so long, for instance. You could do that. Anyway, so I guess we're going to sign off now, and don't watch too much television because it's not really good for you.